For many years, there's been rumors of a cemetery in Deerfield, Virginia, behind the present day community center owned by the county of Augusta, that there is a cemetery in the back lot. The book that came out in the late 80s to early 1990s, Memories of Deerfield, mentions that there was a cemetery back there. It doesn't say who's buried in it. And then another mention in there that there was a cemetery at one time that had the markers on the graves, but it was an Indian cemetery, which usually Indians didn't put tombstones on their graves during that time. Uh, all the Indians left around here in the 1700s. Also, the other rumor was it was an African American cemetery. And there, at one time, there was a church where the community center is sitting at right now. That area was used as a school for many years. The community center was before it became the community center, probably in the early 90s, 1990s. So, if anybody has any information on this subject, I would like to know about it. I told a friend of mine about it, and he was telling me that you could use dowsing rods to find graves. So I told him, I said, well, why don't you go up there sometime and check it out? As you see this bench in the picture right now, that's about where the graves start. We'll come back to that here again in a minute. So I was telling him about that cemetery, and he'd been telling me that about finding a grave somewhere that had a headstone, and then he was using the dowsing rods, like you use to look for water pipes. So he said you could find graves with that. So I said, well, sometime you get a chance, why don't you go over there and check that deal out and see what you can find? So the very next day he went there, and he told me he found 11 graves. There was 8 that was together. They were about 3 or 4 feet apart, 3.5 feet apart from each other, like that's about standard for a grave. And then there were 3 more graves located in a little bit different section near where the 8 graves were. And he found 11 graves. So possibly more than that buried up there. Now, the African American community, most of them left probably in the early 1920s. There might have been a few more after that. But back in the days when there was a stave mill here that made staves for wooden barrels to ship oil in, which that company went out sometime around 1920 when it went out of business and they moved out. Prior to that, there had been some during the Civil War and after that lived here. And the church that they occupied on this property was sometime after the Civil War. But when they left, I guess the county acquired the property and they tore the church down because it was kind of in bad shape by that time. The school that the present community center was built around 1937 after the school before that had burned. So it's right in this area that we're looking at right now, around that tree there and around that bench, probably to the left of your screen there, that tree there, right there in the center of the picture right now is where they start. So anyway, that's kind of a mystery. If anybody's got any information on that, that would be good to know about. It'd be nice if the county or someone could put a marker up there so these people that's buried here won't be forgotten. And probably a lot of people don't even know about it. I've talked to some local people that's lived around here for years that never heard about it. And I talked to others that had heard about it all their life. And I guess I first heard about it when I was a kid living in the area. My mother said she had heard about it. And we'd heard it was African American cemetery. But whatever it is, it'd be good to know that these people are not forgotten. We don't appreciate our old timers when they're around. We think about these things later on, and now the old timers are all gone, and us that used to be youngsters now the old timers. So that's kind of the way that goes there. but be nice to know what happened. And there's no one living now that was living back during the days of the company when it was in here. This was a company town. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you got any comments, I'd sure appreciate them. See what your ideas are. Maybe you know some things out there that can bring more light to the subject. Thanks a lot for watching.